I've had a few requests to do a shop tour. Yeah, I don't know if it's more of a shop or just a garage in the backyard of my house, but it's where I go out and work every day. Before we go in, yes, it is a mess, and yes, it's also crowded. But at the same time, it's a working shop, and I am feeding 6 people, so please don't judge me too harshly. But with that out of the way, come on in. So I guess I'll give you a general overview. And we can go around and look at some of the individual machines and tools and things. This is it's a mess right now, but that's my work desk. Got a couple arbor presses here and a hand tapper. Over here, this is a small CNC mill that I picked up. I paid, I bought it because it was $150 and it worked, but it's since failed me. But I do have a retro kit to go on it, so you might see that in a project coming up. Not really doing it because I need it, doing it because I have everything to do it, and I want the experience for doing a retro kit, and you'll see why in a few minutes. So, oh, before we get to this, behind there, that was my first lathe, first machine tool I ever bought, and that kind of got the sickness going. And I guess I've been buying stuff non-stop ever since. This is a brake lathe I'm getting ready to work on. I'm going to try to do a rebuild on it. It works, but it's just been beat and sitting around, so it's getting a little cruddy, and it's starting to not work as well. So I'll be doing a rebuild on that coming up. That heat treating, it's actually a dental furnace, but it gets up to 2,000 degrees, so I can use it for anything that requires 2,000 degrees or less. This here was my first, well, yeah, I told you it was a mess. This is my first decent sized lathe. This was it's an Atlas, I think it's a 10-inch. Made several things with it before I upgraded to a bigger one. It's funny how fast you outgrow some things, I guess. I keep this tapping head mounted permanently in this drill press. I don't even know what kind this is. Oh, is that a Craftsman? Yeah, whatever. Now I am curious. Well, keep this tapping head in it because I use it enough that it's just a dedicated machine now. And of course, in the corner of the shop here, we got the Tormach. It's about as clean as she gets. I'm sure if you've seen any other videos I've made, you've seen that it's not normally that clean. So that's a little impressive to me. This here's my small turret lathe. It's a Hardinge. It's got the 5-seat collet. You guys might have seen that in a couple of the other videos. I think I got this one off of Craigslist. Up towards Richmond somewhere. There's my Brown & Sharp horizontal mill. Just finished doing a small run on this, so that's why the vise is set up in an odd position. It's making something on it. Best I can find, this thing's about 1912, 1914, but I use it almost every day. It's actually an important tool in my shop. Under here, I got a couple welders. That's not exciting. Here's a rivet press. You might have seen a video on that before too. Right now it's a rack for hanging my shop vac hoses. Small horizontal here, Burke number 4. Use this one mainly for squaring up parts. Right now I've got a setup in here for cutting grooves. I just happened to look into these cutters. I think I got about a dozen of them, all the same size, in one lot. And it just happened to work out perfect for what I needed at the time. This is my biggest punch press, Bliss 18. Right beside that, something I just picked up is a flywheel grinder. Now I have to admit, I don't grind many flywheels, but if it's set up right, I'm hoping that it'll be an inexpensive rotary surface grinder. Got a few things coming up I want to try and make, and I hope this thing comes in handy. If not, I'll pass it on. But I'm not exactly known for getting rid of tools. It's hard to see here because I got them packed in, and normally I open these large doors and do the work from right inside the doors. There's a 4-foot shear and then a northern finger brake there. Sandblast cabinet, I almost never use that. A small punch press. I've got a corner rounding fixture in that right now, and it pretty much stays up there all the time. But it'll round off the corners of aluminum sheets, what I'm using it for. This is a recent addition here. It's obviously it's a drill press. It's got this friction wheel up on the top. That's how you change the speed on it. That's pretty cool. Well, I think it's cool. Not sure what kind of press you would call this. It's got the ratcheting arm over here. A little arm right there. Hangs over the table so you can stick long stuff through there if you gotta. Comes in handy. 14-inch bandsaw, Delta. And over here, everybody's got to have a bench grinder, so there's mine. This is my Diarco. I don't know, however you say it. But it's a rod bender. Then a 4-foot Niagara press brake. Been getting into making more stuff out of sheets, so this really comes in handy. This I don't use almost ever, except to put stuff on. So it's a shelf at the moment, but it's a Jet 16 mill drill. Before I got the Tormach, this is all I had. But as you can see now, it's kind of unloved. This here, you can barely see it, and I'm not even sure what it's called, but it's some type of a shear. I'm going to dig that out here. Well, I've been talking about that for at least a year. I'm going to dig it out, and it works. I just need to clean it up, and I think the mounts on the motor are bent or something. I can't remember. But clean it up and get it out. Get some use out of it. A shop press. Old table saw. I found a lady was going to throw it in the trash, and I told her no, I'll take that. So eventually, I guess if I get around to it, I'll clean that up and get it working again. The die filer, Hans and Kolb, something like that. Looking for the name. Oh, it's down on the side. You can barely see it. Yeah, Han and Kolb. I got, I think this is an Enco. Yeah, Enco surface grinder. But I'm not sure who makes it. But I've seen 2 other names on it. One is Chevalier, and Darn, I can't remember the other name. But there's multiple companies running ones that look exactly like this. There's my South Bend. This is an odd one, South Bend 11. Apparently that was an odd size. I just recently got it into this corner, which is why it's hard to get to. This here is a Denison hydraulic press. I want to get it cleaned up and get some space cleaned off on the workbench. Get that mounted. And probably beside it an Olivetti drill press. Not very common. I think they made typewriters or something like that. But 10,000 RPM on that. Little Camelback drill press. Got off of Craigslist, I think. Now this thing's cool. Brown and Sharp. I think it's a number 2 surface grinder. But it's the one with the belt that comes up and around and back down. I don't know what year it is, but it's got to be pretty early. Another punch press down there. Now, this here in the corner, the big blue monster, or the blue mistake as my kids call it, was a CNC mill that I bought. It's a Herco. And not long after I got it, it started having computer issues. I mean, why not? It's a 30-year-old computer. I don't know what I was thinking. But the motors and everything are fine. It's just the control software. Seen a few guys with similar machines. They did a retro on theirs with Gecko drives and stuff like that, using the original motors. But before I take on this beast, I want to try the small one, which is why I want to do that retro, even though it's not going to be very useful to me. Maybe engraving or something. But this thing here has got 14 by 24 inch travel, which is pretty big. I love the Tormach 8 by 11, 9. No, not 8 by 11. Where'd that come from? 9 by 18, I think is the travel on that. It'll make pretty much everything I need to make. But 14 by 24 would be nice too. This is my big Bardens and Oliver. Well, big for me. You see it's piled up. It gets used a lot and hardly ever cleaned. In fact, there's a stack of parts back there I made last week on them. This is pre-war, so it's early 40s era. Still turn out a decent part though. And of course, well, this is a 20 by 30 garage, and I'm sharing part of it with the old VW bus. Kind of anxious to get that finished and moved out so I can spread out a little more. Or, I know me, I'll just bring home more stuff. But I got a couple mills back there too. It's a Van Norman 1.5 and a Garvin. It's like an 1890s era Garvin. I'd really like to get that one out. I just don't have any room for it at the moment. So, that's it. I mean, we can dig through this junk for hours, but that's the quick and dirty. Like I said, I wouldn't consider it much. It's not insulated, which it's starting to get cold here, so that's, well, it depends on when I post this video, but it's starting to get cold here now. I'm starting to regret not insulating it. But I'll struggle through like I have the last few years. I think I said it, 20 by 30 garage, and I'm losing about 6 feet with the bus. So 20 by 24, give or take, minus some storage. And I got enough tools in here to make some decent stuff and put food on the table. Had to hurry up and shoot the video before I got it dirty again. I worked on it for about a week just to get it cleaned up. Every time I clean it, I say I'm going to make sure it never gets dirty again, but I'm sure you guys know how that goes. So, anyway, that's it. Appreciate you guys watching, checking in. Hope If you've got a shop and you're worried about space, maybe this will give you some ideas or show you what not to do. Anyway, I hope you found it helpful. Well, either way, thanks for watching.